Miraak is Skyrim's most opaque villain. Unlike most of the Elder Scrolls V's antagonists, the first Dragonborn never reveals his agenda. The player is left to piece together Miraak's motivations from battle cries and rushed conversations. Some players have leveled the accusation that when it came to Miraak, Bethesda were lazy writers. Miraak's not ambiguous, they claim, so much as he is lacking in any characterization whatsoever. I beg to differ. I think Miraak is probably Skyrim's most interesting villain, precisely because he's the least villain-like. He's an anti-hero, a foil to the protagonist. This relation is made clear in the trailer for the Dragonborn DLC. Instead of the Dragonborn absorbing a dragon's soul, like in the original trailer, there is instead stood Miraak.
You didn't think that you were the only one. He was the first. Dragonborn.
But Miraak is not the player's antithesis. He cannot simply be lumped into that box, filled with the likes of Alduin and Harkon, labelled evil. After we piece together what we can of Miraak's motivations, this fact will become clearer. After landing in Solstheim, it doesn't take long for the Dragonborn to run into brainwashed NPCs, building monuments in Miraak's name, the most impressive of which is an imposing temple in Solstheim's centre. Our first impression of Miraak then is that he is an egoist. You have to be to build a temple dedicated to yourself. Additionally, that Miraak controls the minds of so many of Solstheim's residents suggests that he believes he has a right to rule over others. But whether Miraak intends to rule over Solstheim or all of Tamriel upon his return is unclear. In one line of dialogue, Miraak talks of subduing the chaotic world, which would imply that he intends to rule beyond Solstheim. Miraak also talks of the necessity of returning to this realm in full in order to set things right. A desire for world domination, then, is one of Miraak's motivations, it would seem. His past only makes this fact clearer. Miraak originally rose up against the dragons, not because he morally disagreed with what they were doing to humans, but because he wanted to rule in their stead. Miraak also declined to join the First Lords in rebellion against the dragons because he did not want to partake in a movement that was not led by him. Indeed, it would seem that Miraak was not opposed to the dragons' exploitation of humanity, only to the fact that it was them, rather than he, who did the exploitation. Instead of joining the rebellion, Miraak entered into the service of the Daedric Prince of Knowledge in the pursuit of ever greater power. He was particularly keen to learn the Bend Will Shout. Miraak gained knowledge, but at the expense of his freedom. Miraak became trapped in Apocrypha for thousands of years. When he almost died in a duel at the hands of a fellow dragon priest, Valok the Jailer, he was pulled into oblivion by his Daedric master, and lacking dragon souls, he could not muster the power to return to Nirn. The return of the dragons presented an opportunity. Dragon souls could provide Miraak with the fuel he needed to return to the mortal plane, hence why he starts stealing dragon souls from the player at the beginning of the Dragonborn DLC, and why he's so eager to battle the player. As he remarks in the final fight, "With the power of your soul, I will return to Solstheim and be master of my own fate once again." If we encountered Miraak before his imprisonment in Apocrypha, there would be no problem in labelling him as villainous. He was, and is, power-hungry and arrogant. But by the time of Skyrim, Miraak's not simply fighting so that he may rule mankind, he's fighting for his freedom. Indeed, freedom is what Miraak speaks of most. Perhaps he speaks little of his master plan, because that's not actually what matters to him at all. After thousands of years, trapped in oblivion, he hungers only to be free of Hermaeus Mora's grip. Miraak's powers are useless if he lacks the autonomy to use them for himself, and being Hermaeus Mora's stooge must be humiliating for a being so arrogant. The extent of Miraak's lack of autonomy is made clear in the DLC's ending. When he's beaten by the player at the end of the Dragonborn questline, Miraak is promptly finished off by Hermaeus Mora, who knew the entire time of the first Dragonborn's plot to escape Apocrypha.
Did you think to escape me, Miraak? You can hide nothing from me here. No matter. I have found a new Dragonborn to serve me. May he be rewarded for his service, as I am.
The chanting of those brainwashed by Miraak and Solstheim is also revealing of Miraak's plight. The mantra goes like this.
Here in my temple, here in my shrine, that you have forgotten. Here do you toil, that you might remember. Here you reclaim what faithless minds have stolen. Far from yourself, I grow ever nearer to you. Your eyes once were blinded. Now, through me, do you see? Your hands once were idle. Now, through them, do I speak. And when the world shall listen, and when the world shall see, and when the world remembers, that world will cease to be.
The mantra is cryptic, but the theme of remembrance is suggestive. Miraak is scared, most of all, of being forgotten. He was once powerful and feared even by dragons, but stuck in Hermaeus Mora's realm, he is afraid that no one will know his name anymore. Miraak then might want to dominate or to rule Tamriel, but the reason that he never talks about his plans explicitly is probably because he has none or because they're vague. Instead, his overriding aim is simply to return to Tamriel, to be free of Hermaeus Mora, so that he can establish himself once again, and so that the world will remember who he is. Miraak is a dark vision of who the protagonist, the last Dragonborn, could be. Not evil, but vain, and blinded by their hunger for power. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more, then please feel free to subscribe, and also please feel free to leave suggestions for future videos in the comments below. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next one.